Malta, an island country, a beautiful island country in the Mediterranean near Italy, remains one of the last countries in Europe that still protects preborn children. It is illegal to kill a child in the womb, and they've had no maternal mortalities for the past dozens of years, which is the lowest maternal mortality ratio in the world, despite having the most protective pro life laws. Recently, pro lifers in Malta defeated an amendment to the criminal code which would have allowed abortions in certain cases to preserve the life or the health of the mother. So today, I'm excited to be speaking with Dr. Miriam Sciberras, the CEO of Life Network Malta, who has been at the forefront of the fight to keep abortion out of the island nation. Dr. Miriam, I'm so happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kristin. I'm happy to be on the show too and to be sharing our news from Malta with you.
Yes, you have some great news that I thought this is the perfect moment to share with the American pro life movement. Can you explain to us how Malta, a Catholic pro life country, first saw this amendment introduced that would amend your criminal code? What's the backstory of what was happening in your country?
Well, in our country, pregnant women are always cared for. So there is really no need for an abortion law because if a mother is in danger of losing her life, our obstetricians and gynecologists would always give the woman the option to treat her. They would never let a woman die, but they would never intentionally kill the baby. They would do all that they can to save the mother, even if in the process the life of the child is lost, but they would never intentionally eliminate a baby's life. Everything would be done so that they would both be saved, and even if the baby is delivered prematurely, everything would be done to try and save the baby's life. This is very different from an intentional abortion. So we've always had for all these years this protection in spite of not having abortion in Malta. What happened was that we had a tourist, Prudente, who came to Malta, who was suffering from a miscarriage, the beginning of she had a premature rupture of the membranes. That's the exact term
Okay.
that it was, and because of this case, there was all this circus, I would say, in the media to try and push abortion into Malta through an abortion amendment. So all this, we had a whole year of discussions in the media, programs on television, people out in the streets, because the people of Malta do not want abortion. And the people of Malta did not want
Mm.
or need an abortion amendment. Thanks God, this has been now, this was active last year. Last year, at this time, we were preparing for a manifestation in the streets of Malta to protest against this, the introduction of an abortion amendment. This didn't happen because after that, after the people took to the streets, more than 25,000 people, then we also had a lot of people, very prominent people, and also organizations writing in the media and creating a lot of awareness. And from all this discussion, and including also the strong stand by the President of Malta, the abortion amendment did not pass or continue, but instead we have a life-saving amendment, which in practical terms means what we have always had, and that is that if a mother is in danger of losing her life, she would be saved, but also everything would be done to try and save the life of the baby. So this is what we have now. It's a
What was
life-saving
did
amendment.
you
We do
have a
not have
messaging?
abortion. Yes?
That's awesome. That's so amazing to hear. What what's I guess what slogan were you using? Because I don't know if you've been hearing what happened with Ohio and their amendment to their state constitution this fall, but pro-abortion activists push for this amendment that would change the state constitution to allow abortion, and it was intentionally very vague. And when you read it, it sounds innocuous, but then when you really think about the definitions and the words they use, what it does is says that there's a right to abortion, an objective right to abortion. And we saw, sadly, Dr. Miriam, pro life voters, Catholic voters, Christian, non Catholic voters saying they were voting yes for the amendment, yes for a pro abortion amendment because they had seen videos and messaging from the abortion lobby telling them that if there wasn't a right to abortion in the Constitution, their daughters or themselves who were experiencing an ectopic pregnancy or a miscarriage wouldn't receive the care that they needed to live. How did you all overcome that messaging in Malta?
Well, first of all, we were all out there in the media. We created a lot of groups. Doctors for Life played a significant role, for example. But we were explaining, and the campaign in Maltese was called Inti tista salvani, which means you can save me. In Malta, the child in the womb is a baby. We have never lost that. So when somebody gets the news that they are pregnant, we always say that she's having a baby. So it's synonymous. I think in the United States that has been lost. And in Malta, for example, we never say the pregnancy. We never address it as the pregnancy, but it's always the baby. The baby has an identity right from the start. And I think this is what we need to be fighting worldwide, because really, when we speak of abortion as a procedure, people don't feel for a procedure, but people feel for a baby. So I think that we need to call abortion what it really does. Abortion eliminates a life, it kills a baby. And I think unless we start
Mm,
speaking about what abortion really does, and we keep speaking about
mm,
abortion as if it was a normal procedure that one would be undergoing as if you're taking out a tooth, which is not the case. I think people are easily misled, because even here, till this very day, they try to hide the identity of the child inside the womb. So when it's wanted, it's a baby. When it's not wanted, it's a clump of cells. It's a fetus, it's an embryo, as if they're not all stages of what we were in the beginning. So I think this is what is being lost.
mhm,
The language of dehumanization, used the other way around.
mm. I couldn't agree with you more. And we've seen a lot of reaction to uh, abortion and politics and these ballot referendums and the upcoming elections. And there's been a lot of folks who've been very clear, including myself, of we need to be talking about what this is, what we're voting for, and voters in Ohio were voting for abortion in all 9 months of pregnancy. And they need to be reminded of that over and over and over again. Um, I think one of the things that's so fascinating about Malta is what I shared at the beginning of the show is you all have never had abortion, and you all don't have maternal mortalities. We are told constantly by the mainstream media, by abortion advocates on campus or in our communities, that without abortion, women will die. And that's just, they say it's a simple fact because If you make abortion illegal, women will be desperate and they will still have abortions, but those abortions will be unsafe. And so women will die from unsafe, illegal abortions, they say, or women will die of these life threatening circumstances where a doctor won't treat her because he or she thinks that treating her is an abortion. In Malta, do you have back alleys filled with women who are self-aborting with dangerous abortion mechanisms?
No, we don't. And that's been proven to be a lie. Because if you read what ex
Mm,
abortionists say, they always say that that's a tagline that Planned Parenthood uses. I remember reading it in Nathanson's book that they inflated the figures, they invented the figures. Um, uh, and I have even heard it from other ex abortionists. So you see, I think this is another lie that is propagated in the media that unfortunately
mm,
people tend to swallow. Everything, unfortunately, has become media. So, people just see the outside, and people are so busy that most of the time they are not able to analyze what is being fed to them. And our pro abortion allies, um, for sure, are investing heavily in this media campaigning. We are seeing it here in Malta. There is a constant onslaught in the media, even targeting young adolescents. And I am sure that this is happening worldwide, which is very, very strange. I do not logically comprehend why we would intentionally be targeting the killing of our own children. It escapes me when we look at war, when we look at bloodshed, when we are able to look in the eye at what is happening in the Middle East and cry and feel for those children in their parents' arms, and then we are not able to comprehend the genocide that is ongoing under the protection of our own laws. I just cannot comprehend
mm.
these laws and what they mean, because if we actually stopped to think, I mean, you know, devastating.
Hey, Pro Life Jen. Ever wonder how the impossible happens? How pro life Americans persevered for 50 years until miraculously Roe versus Wade was overruled? How we even determined a winning play? Ever wonder what we're going to do next in the pro life movement or what we must do next in the pro life movement? Join us for the 2024 National Pro Life Summit this January in Washington, D.C., the day after the National Pro Life March, and you will learn how to do the impossible. We're going to make abortion unthinkable and unavailable throughout our land and forever change our world, one life at a time. Hurry up, seats are limited, we will sell out, so register now at prolifesummit.com. Hypocrisy that our world plays when it comes to abortion is just absolutely stunning. People march in the streets to protect children and women in Palestine, but then also march in the streets here in America to protect the right to kill a child for any reason, simply for convenience or simply because she doesn't want to have stretch marks. Um, and the justifications for this violence are so shallow for so many. It's heartbreaking to see the 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 seeds that have been sown and the harvest now that has been really just has been reaped from a culture of death in our country. What are your thinking about the fight that you all just emerged from victoriously? Uh, from your efforts there in Malta, what would you want to say to the pro life generation here in America and to the broader pro life movement in America as we now fight state by state to make abortion unthinkable and unavailable?
Well, I think in America, your best allies are the people who have had abortion and are still hurting. There are a lot of them. I have spoken to them. I have spoken to many people who have had abortions and who are still hurting, and slowly, they are coming out to speak. People who are realizing what it means to lose a child. Um, I think we have to just like keep fighting so that in our lifetime, just like slavery was abolished, just like apartheid was abolished, we have to fight, so that one day even abortion will be abolished in our lifetime. Unfortunately, it seems that we are against the odds. But even in those times, they were fighting against the odds. Even speaking now, at this very minute in Malta, we are still under attack. The pro-abortion lobby are relentless in trying to twist words, in trying to steal the hearts and minds of young people, pushing it as a choice, as a convenience, as a trying to imagine that an unborn child or an unplanned pregnancy is a burden, compared to a career, compared to everything else. But I think in the end, we will realize, even if at a great big cost, that this is a mistake. And one day we have to realize that we are killing our own children. Until that day, we have to keep fighting. We have to be the voice of the unborn. We have to go in the colleges. We have to speak from the rooftops. Yeah, can't stop fighting.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And I think you're absolutely right, Dr. Miriam, how this is a culture, because when we saw your victory there in Malta, you all have a culture of life in Malta, which I think certainly you have an uphill battle, but I think it makes fighting these types of ballot referendums or election initiatives easier when you have this base understanding of a country that what is inside of a woman is precious and a valuable, unique human life, and not this burden or a curse or a parasite, as some American pro-abortion people try to label the child in the womb. So I just want to thank you today for all of your all's incredible work in Malta. You've given me hope, and I hope everyone who's tuned in today to Explicitly Pro-Life has felt hopeful for this conversation. Dr. Miriam, where is there places that we can follow your all's battle there in Malta and what you all continue to do?
Well, you can follow us on our website, lifenetwork.eu. And you can follow also our, because we also have a support line, a 24/7 support line. We also have a maternity home, and we also have a teaching unit, because we try to work in three modes. We try to support women, we try to educate to sow the seeds for the future, but at the same time, be the voice of the unborn, as an advocacy unit in the streets of Malta. So you can follow us on our website.
Thank you, Dr. Miriam. Thank you for your life network and for all that you all are doing in Malta. I hope everyone who listened to this episode of Explicitly Pro Life was as blessed and as encouraged as I was. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you next week.